Hi there, Jaden here, and I'll be doing a free SEO analysis for this entire website. Basically trying to give you some sort of value to see how you guys can increase the performance of your website in terms of getting more organic traffic. And I hope you like this video. So this video will be split up into 3 different sections. The first section will be to go after any low-hanging fruits that we find. So basically any any clear opportunities that you guys can go after, or if there's any major problems. So within the first section, I would say around 5 to 10 minutes will be that. And then the next section will be to do a quick audit on your site, just to see the status of your site in terms of organic performance from an organic standpoint. And then finally, the last section will be a course of action, SEO recommendations of what things you guys can take to help fix this issue or to grow your site organically. Feel free to speed up this video if this is too slow. If not, I hope you enjoy this. So as you can see right now, I'm on the website, and the first thing I usually like to check is just basically to see if there's any underlying issues over here. From what I'm looking at, it doesn't seem like there is any. So it's a really simple design, which is fine. I just want to take a look at some of the URLs, how you guys are structuring your URLs to see if there is anything. All right, so you have a blog section. So let's go and take a look at the blog section. Okay, so I'm already noticing some interesting stuff, which is the URLs. So you can see on the bottom left-hand side, you can see the URLs. Okay, and later on, I will be explaining, some of the stuff that you guys can do. But basically, let me record it down first. Okay, one of the most important thing that can see whether is your website, does your website have any sort of opportunity, is to see where your website is standing in terms of organic traffic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the website to see if you guys are getting organic traffic, and also at the same time to kind of see, more data about the website. So it seems like it's this website has years to it. It's not a new site, and organic traffic has kind of remained the same for the past years, right? With some spikes here and there, and these spikes are usually because Google is sending bots to the website, and that's why sometimes it gets picked up, stuff like that. So now the thing is, majority of the traffic is coming, I would say almost all of the traffic is coming from Singapore. So if that's the target audience, that's awesome. And then now I just want to look at the kind of traffic that you guys are getting. So the brand, so this is a branded search. So this tells me that the brand has some kind of organic presence because of the search volume for the specific brand, right? But if I were to skip all this and I want to look at people that are not searching for your brand but are looking for either your type of content or the services you're offering or the product that you're offering, because ideally these are the people that you want to try to bring into your website. So it seems like there isn't any. So speaking of migraine, so this is in US. I'm going to filter this out in Singapore. And there is some, so what I can say about your current organic presence is almost all of your organic traffic, the traffic you're getting from Google, it's coming from your brand. So other than that, basically your website is not getting any kind of traffic organically other than a brand search. So ideally, from here, we want to see if there is any low-hanging fruit that you guys can go after to really capture that audience that is not looking for your brand but are looking for the content that you have to offer. So let me see if I can find any. So digital marketer, home buddy, channel news Asia. So just by the looks of these things, I don't think these are relevant. So this might be relevant. So Teva Pharmaceuticals Singapore. So this could be a brand. Okay, let me just confirm this, because if this is not a brand, yeah, so this is a brand. Yeah, because if this is not a brand, then this would be a low-hanging fruit. But ideally, you try not to rank for another brand searches, because when people type in this, they are ideally searching for this specific brand. So doesn't seem like I can find any here. Let me go to the US section to kind of see if there is any. Okay, so there is some low-hanging fruit over here. So you can see stomach migraine symptoms. Okay, the volume, there is a certain search volume for it, and you guys are in position 8. And then abdominal migraines treatment, you guys are in position 11. And the page that is doing well, it's this URL, but it's the image that is inside the pack. Okay, so this is one thing that I want to take note on, which is will be part within the recommendations. Let me just record it down. Okay, so as you can see, this page over here, Google has identified this specific URL to be relevant for this search term, and you guys are in position 11. So even though this is the image, but this could be an easy way to push your page up to make it more relevant for this search term. Because based off on what you guys already did, whether you guys are working with SEO, I don't think you guys have worked with SEO before, because if not, then a lot of these things will be fixed. But based off this alone, there's a lot of things that you guys can optimize to really push this page up towards the top of the first page. And ideally, just by doing that, you'll be getting a lot more traffic. For example, in this instance, people searching for stomach migraine symptoms. Okay, if they are within your target audience, if this group of people are your target audience, or ideally your target audience, then you want to be optimizing for keywords like this. So there's a lot of other terms that are in the page 2 onwards on Google. So all these I will take into consideration some of the stuff that you guys can look at to optimize. So now let's take a look at what are the stuff that you can optimize. So these are kind of what I think are low-hanging fruits. So the next thing I want to do is just to kind of see, just kind of do an audit for this specific page, since I want to make this more relevant for the opportunity that we have found. Because it's no use if we find an opportunity but don't give you a idea of what you can do, right? So in this next section, I will be doing a quick audit. So for this audit, I'm going to take a look at first the on page. Okay, so I already opened this page up. So you can see this page. What I like to do is I like to take a look at, first of all, the URL structure. Yeah, and this is one thing that initially I've recorded down, which is part of the recommendation I can give you guys. The URL structure right now, you can see this is a very big chunk of URL, and this is not ideal. And the reason why is because with URL, it's one of the most important on-page factors when it comes to ranking a website or a web page. And with URL, you want to keep it as short, sweet, and ideally you want to map it to a keyword as much as possible. So I know that there's a lot of things for you to do, but a general best practice is to make sure that it's short and sweet. Right, so in this case, because in order for you to have the third element, which is you want to have your ideal keyword within your URL, that's where some kind of keyword research will need to be done. But again, because there's so many steps to do to really bring up the performance of this page, the thing that you can focus on right now will be these two things: keep it short and keep it sweet. So, for example, in this instance, you can do without the dates. Okay, so all you have to do is just remove the dates. Okay, that's one thing that you can do. Secondly, you can even remove the blog dash live, right? You can just keep it as blog, right? You guys are using Squarespace, so with certain CMSs that... Alright, sorry about that. So you can tell that all these are being done live. So apologize for that. So let me continue. So with your blog, right, because with some CMSs, sometimes they don't allow, there's certain restrictions when it comes to CMS. So if Squarespace doesn't allow you to remove this section of the blog, which I don't think they do, I don't think this is possible, then you want to still stick to the rule, which is you want to keep it short and sweet. So instead of blog dash live, you just want it to have, sorry, not alive, but live. You just want to make sure that it's blog. All right, and then now if we move on to the next section, which is, you can see this is the blog post. Okay, so you can see abdominal migraine, how much do you know, part 1. Okay, if you can, try to think about what this post really is about and just summarize it within like 3 to 4 words. Okay, so for example, if it's abdominal migraine, just keep it like that. Abdominal migraine, right? In fact, in this case, you can see abdominal migraine symptoms. This is what Google is showing up for. So you can even change this to there must be some form of keyword research that's being done already for you to know the relevancy for the keywords, right? A second way that you can do it for free is actually go into your Google Search Console and put in this page. And within the Google Search Console, they will show you the kind of impressions that this specific page is getting. So you can kind of see what this page is showing up for when people are typing in, depending on the search terms they are typing in. So you can look at the terms that have the highest impressions. This means to say when a person types in this specific term, your website is being found on Google. That doesn't necessarily lead to a click, but that means to say, you know, there's some form of relevance. So you can use that as an idea. But in this case, just remember to keep it short and sweet. So in this case, you can change it to this. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do is, let me take a look at your page titles. Okay, so this is fine actually. This is really fine because, you know, your page title is below 60 characters. It has, assuming this is the keyword, it has the keyword and it has a kind of like a variable, where it's a curiosity copy here. How much do you know? Now what I would do is I will remove this part 1, okay, and just make this a bracket. Okay, and the reason why is because you want to break the pattern up when so when you are browsing on Google, when people are browsing on Google, in order for you to really stand out, you want to make sure that your page titles, or basically everything that you're trying to do, is you're trying to stand out, right? So when you stand out, chances are you'll be able to get a click as compared to, you know, just having these type of page titles, because a lot of other websites, they will generally be having page titles that's structured like this. So instead of something like this, what you can do in order to break that pattern up, you can change it to something like this. Okay, part 1. Okay, and basically how I like to do it, I like to format everything capitalized and stuff like that. I can put it as something like, how much do you know? Right, so this breaks up the pattern. Okay, so this is one way for you to break up a pattern. There's a lot of ways for you to break up a page title pattern, but this is just my recommendation. And your description is really nicely done up, so I wouldn't worry that much about description. Right, now moving on to the next part, I'll be doing so that's kind of like the on page, right? And later on I'll be coming back here to give you some recommendations for the design of your post. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick technical audit to kind of see where your pages are. Kind of see if I can find anything here. So all these are job posts, right? Yeah, so all right, so with job posts, generally you don't want, so there are pages that doesn't need to be indexed by Google, and it's not a really big issue right now because your website, it's not that big. It has only like around 100 plus pages, so it's not that big of a deal yet. However, this will impact when you guys are running, or when you guys are focusing on getting more organic traffic. This will impact the speed of the results of your SEO implementations. And the reason why is because even though the website is not big, the resources that Google will spend, so that's what they call a crawl budget. So instead of having these crawl budget to go and analyze the important pages of your site, which are pages that you are optimizing, say for example your blog post, you want Google to focus on them and take note of the implementations that you are doing, that you have done and stuff like that, right? Instead of that, what Google will do is Google will basically analyze all these pages. Now, unfortunately, with these type of pages, they don't really serve any purpose to Google. And the reason why is because generally nobody is searching for a senior Java backend engineer and a brand name, right? So with these kind of pages, it doesn't cross a lot of what Google is looking for. Google is looking for unique content. Google wants more content, and usually with posts like this, they are not really optimized to bring in traffic, right? So with these kind of pages, you want to no index them, right? So you can do this on Squarespace. We've done it a lot of times, but you can go into your backend and then basically have a no index tag for these type of pages. And you can see like these are all, there are a lot of pages, like you have data analyst, content writer, and all this stuff, right? So you want to make sure that this is being no indexed, okay? And this could be a potential issue because as you scale your website up, now imagine once this job is fulfilled, if you guys don't take care of it, meaning to say if you don't remove it, what's going to happen is this page will still be live on Google. So even though you guys have took it out of your career section, but this will still be live somewhere on Google, and there is no reason for it to be on Google anymore. But because it's still on Google, Google is still going to look at this as a content that is not really optimized in a way for users. And the reason why is because nobody is searching for this type of terms, and it's just a waste of resources. So thankfully, because the website is not that big right now, so I can see that there's a lot of these type of pages, right? And so let me so all these are blog posts. So one more thing is with PDFs, I don't think you have to have them indexed, and the reason why is because of the same thing. PDF generally don't rank for anything. So that's kind of the overview of. Okay, so this is another type of page that you don't want Google to be crawling. So this is a page that is live, but it's no longer relevant in the current context. Current context means to say the date. Current context means to say it's somewhere on the website, but it's not being advertised anymore because the event has passed. So any event related post, you want to make sure to either remove them or you want to make sure to no index them, like I mentioned earlier. So the reason why is because, again, this doesn't fulfill a lot of things of what Google is looking for, because you can see the content is not really that much, and this just makes no relevancy to the current day and age, not current day and age, but the current date, because the event has passed. But this page is still being indexed by Google. So it kind of reinforced early on what I mentioned about, because imagine if your job post gets fulfilled, it's going to be the same profile as this page where it's outdated, but it's still live somewhere on the page. And if it's live, Google is still going to crawl it, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want Google to put it on their database, right? So that is the reason why you want to make sure all these pages you want to no index. Now, unfortunately, with Squarespace, like I mentioned, with CMSs, there's always restrictions depending on what CMS you are using. With Squarespace, there's a lot of limitations with regards to what you can do for a specific blog post. Mean to say, if you want to no index this specific page, you're gonna either have to custom code a code within this page where they allow you to fill in codes for this page. If not, then it's going to be impossible, because unlike other CMS, like for example WordPress, which allows you to just basically check off the checkbox if you don't want this to be indexed with a SEO plugin, but Squarespace doesn't have that function. So these are kind of limitations with the CMS that you guys are using. So that being said, now in the next section, what I'm going to talk about is the ideal course of action. So for the ideal course of action, there's a few things that I would do. So one thing is, first of all, your URL structure. So early on, like I mentioned, the URL structure is just not ideal. And just by doing this, right, it doesn't necessarily mean that just by keeping it short, sweet, and with the earlier recommendations I've given, right, it doesn't mean that your website will straight away get traffic. but it will help increase the performance of the website. Now, when I mention increase the performance of website, that doesn't necessarily mean bringing the website from a page 2 to page 1, although it could be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that. That means, however your page is being analyzed by Google, it's going to be more relevant because Google, it's a lot more clearer when they come to your page, and when they look at the URL, it's a lot more clearer. So essentially the signals that you're feeding the algorithm is a lot more clearer. So hence, the performance of the page, it's going to increase, whether that is from position 8 to position 3 or from page 2 to page 1, or it could be, it wasn't even appearing for any search terms, but right now it's appearing. But after the implementations, you can see an increase from not being found on Google at all to being found, or it could even be, moving from page 6 to page 4 and stuff like that, right? But it will help increase the relevancy when Google looks at your site overall. So that's the first thing I will do, which is to sort out the URL. Now, with that being said, most of the time SEO is just a start, because end of the day, the goal here is to bring in traffic first and ultimately converting them, getting the customers to, ideally take an action. Now, with that being said, in order for people to consume the content, in order for people to take a certain action, you need to be able to engage users or readers with your content. And one of the major things that sets a lot of websites apart, websites that can engage with their audience with content or not, it's a lot to do with readability of the page. So what do I mean? Now, early on, like I mentioned, I'll be coming back to this page. Okay, and you can see over here, this is the design of the page. Now, with regards to design, there's a few elements that you might want, you should be following to make sure that people are consuming your content when they land on the traffic, because the goal here is not to drive traffic, right? That's the first step. The goal is to make sure that you get an action taken up from it, whether is it building brand, depending on what your objective is. Most of the time it's getting people to convert, right? But the steps, the first step, it's traffic. So that is not the goal. The first step is taking traffic. The second step is to make sure that your users actually consume your content. Now, you can take a look. If people were to search for, let's say, abdominal migraine, and they land on this site, what's going to happen is, if you think about how the design of a book is like, right? Think about all the books that we have read. Most of the books, I would say almost 90%, there will be some outliers out there that have crazy designs, but most of the book, you will see that majority of the content, okay, it's within the page, right? So imagine this is the size of book. From the left to the right, this is the size of the book. Now, ideally, the width of the content should be within this. There should be a width, there should be a spacing, white spacing between these two areas, so that the content is just in the middle. Okay, so this increases readability. So that's one. Secondly, with the use of your image, you can see this image and the content, it's inconsistent, meaning to say most of the time you're not going to see an image here, and then this is a sentence that is halfway, and then there's a sentence that's continuing like that. It's very difficult for people to consume the content in terms of readability. So what you can do is you can then either shift this image up, okay, and follow the width of this article, okay, and just shift this up and basically have the content come after this. Or you can either make this page smaller so that it's in line with this piece right here, okay, so that it's in line. Ultimately, it's slightly to do with the design and the readability, the design for readability for blog content. So that's another thing that you can do. Another thing I'm seeing right now is with all this content, you can see. So this is a good example. This sentence, it's way too long. Okay, it will wear readers out, because if you think about our reading behavior, usually it almost happens subconsciously when we look at a book, and if we see a book has many long sentences, right? Chances are we're gonna be we would prefer a book that has shorter sentence as compared to a book that has a very long sentence, because that usually turns people off, right? Because there is, I think, I forget what the term is, but it's something to do with fatigue, right? Eye fatigue or something like that. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the content like that, if it's structured within this wave, you can see this is very consumable as compared to having sentences like this. This is way too long, right? So what you want to do is you want to first make sure that there is a structure towards the content in terms of the width, in terms of the image. And what's next is you want to include some sort of call to action. Okay, so depending on what your call to actions are, you want to basically call out to people to let them know, hey, either link them to another page or link them to one of the actions that you want to take, whether is it to get them on your email list, or whether is it to, try out your products, or, sign up for something. But what you can do is include a call to action within here, so that, you are prompting people to take a certain action after reading this. So that's some of the stuff that I mentioned, and I think, yeah, that's about it. So all in all, I hope that you've enjoyed this analysis. This is basically really just to help a fellow business out, because I know that you guys are really focused on the digital side of things, and that's why I thought I'd create this video, hopefully to help you guys out. So with that being said, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. If not, then I hope by using this video, by the recommendations and the analysis that I've did, it will help your website gain more traction, gain more online visibility, and ultimately grow your brand in the long term on Google. So thank you so much for watching this. Stay safe and take care.